to Life Chats with Maggie and Bunny. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Bunny.
So today, Bunny, I have a question for you.
Mm.
You're younger than I am. Has your give a shit bucket changed as your life changes? Do you have a give a shit bucket? Do our listeners know what is a give a shit bucket?
Yeah, I mean, what is that? Like, I think for me, when you say that, it conjures up ideas of like caring what other people think about what you do, say, wear, and how you are, how you
Yeah.
think. That's what I think.
As well as things that I'm going to give my energy to.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one for me. Like sometimes something will come across and somebody will say, "You're going to get involved in this?" No.
Right.
Or even choosing something, whether or not I'm going to get angry about something.
Mm-hmm.
Where in my younger years, I think that my give a shit bucket took everything, and I did it. Like I wasn't filtering it. I didn't, I
Mm-hmm.
did. I worried about everything. When you're younger, you want to fit in, you want to do things right, you want to know that, you have the good job, you're making your family happy, you're raising children that are productive members of society and not
Mm-hmm.
mass murderers.
Yeah.
All of these things that you care about when you're younger. Where now I'm on the cusp of my turning 65.
Yeah.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
It's funny because I mean, I know that you said like as we get older, I do know that there were, I guess in some ways that I kind of like, so in my family, in my home, with my parents and my brother and my sister, I had different beliefs and different worldviews, even at a young age, right? Like I would, I guess, talk back. Well, but I called
Yeah.
it more like questioning what the beliefs, like when somebody would say something, I wouldn't just take it as fact. I would question it. Right? And so when you're 8 years old, 10 years old, if you're questioning your parents, that's attitude. like you're just supposed to listen to them. So I did kind of have the idea
Or
that,
teachers, if you question
yep,
teachers,
yep,
anybody in authority,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
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 exactly.
that makes sense.
And so those kind of things, and in those ways, I think that I didn't care when it was something that like I was firmly like believed in. I was like didn't care what other people said of my beliefs, in those kind of ways. But it is funny because when you talked about children and I kind of, I don't know about you, but I'm really glad that I raised my kids. They were born in 2000 and 2003 before the internet was so prevalent with like telling you what you can and can't do with your kids and like criticizing and like unsolicited advice, where
Yeah.
if you put up a video of your kid doing something and then there are people in the comments was like, oh, cute video, but, and then they would say like, you shouldn't feed them this, or you shouldn't do that, or you should be doing this, or that, like that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, the idea that we'd have so much pressure
Yeah.
to, make sure that you're doing. And I know that you talk about even your grandson and being in like a mommy's group kind of thing, or I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
where he goes with other kids.
Play group. Yeah.
Yeah, a play group. So, and that, your daughter feels the pressure of the other moms in that group too, of your peers and that kind of thing. So,
Hmm.
yeah, like that.
Yeah. Like I don't remember when my children were younger and they were born in the 90s.
Yeah,
And but I don't remember other people questioning how I raised my children
right,
or what I gave them for a snack and
right,
stuff like that. It just wasn't.
right.
You did what you wanted to do for your children. I just don't remember that kind of pressure.
Hmm.
Where I find moms nowadays have that kind of pressure.
Yeah,
Well, you're going to give your kid that to eat.
yeah,
You're going to not put them in all those sports and
right,
you're not going to, my children were usually in one thing.
right.
Like
Yeah.
they weren't kept busy every night of the week
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff. And even for me, I didn't sense that kind of pressure at what kind of mom I was. I was just the mom I wanted to be. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't there wasn't that kind of stuff. Like I just didn't have that pressure. And but there was other kinds of pressures,
Mm-hmm.
of societal pressures of this is what you must do to be a good person in the community and that kind of stuff. And I see that even now,
Mm-hmm.
but I find the older I get, and we work for ourselves now, so we get
Yeah.
to make those rules. There's no one saying you can't do this at work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, there's nobody saying that. But even now, I find I care less what other people think.
Yeah.
If something feels good to me and I'm not hurting anybody,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what people think. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Like,
And for me, it's a softer attitude than I had when I was a teenager. Because when I was a
yeah,
teenager, it was more of like a defensive, like if you don't like me, then don't look at me, like almost like a fighting like kind of energy behind it. Where
yeah.
now it's like, well, that's fine, like and like I'm not gonna be offended. Like I know
Yeah.
we have
Like, I
I
don't even know if people like me or don't like me because I
yeah,
don't even ask. I don't
right.
care enough to find out.
And and I mean we do have one of our most popular episodes that of our podcast on Spotify anyway is the one that says not everybody's going to like you. And I think
Yeah.
because like it is very dramatic that idea, but I know that even in then we were just saying like we don't really like it's none of our business. What other people think of
Yeah.
us is none of our business. And so that's the thing even with us is like I say that there's two sides to that saying. So we've heard that saying often, what others think of me is none of my business. And I said, and what I think of others is none of their business. In other words, like the fighting stuff, like the stuff you said, like if I don't like what somebody's doing, I don't have to tell them. They don't
Hmm.
need to know unless
They
they
don't need to
ask
know.
me
Yeah.
for advice or for my suggestions or for my opinion. They don't need to know that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think because now I want to live more of a life of peace, and a life of peace is more exclusive, more inclusive, or not exclusive, more inclusive,
Yeah.
more empowering for everybody around me, and not like being like, okay, I might not like a specific thing that you wear or say or do or whatever the case may be. And I can't even think of an example, but I can still like appreciate the love that you have or the
Yeah.
person that you are, and I could still like I don't have to go for coffee with you, but I could still appreciate and understand that you're valid in this world and that we need you.
We can still be kind.
Yeah.
I can still be kind to
Yeah.
people, even if I don't necessarily want to have coffee with them,
Right.
but I can still be kind.
Yeah.
And yeah, the things that I care about are more things that are deeply connected to me. And I
Hmm.
don't, I don't, I find now, I don't know if you call it my give a shit bucket or just do I stay in my lane more?
Right.
Do, or as you say, do I look at my own
Yeah.
paper?
Yeah.
I don't look to the right and the left very much.
Yeah.
I stay on my own course. And that's what concerns me is my course, not your course, not the neighbor's course, not
Right.
anybody else. And it's funny because, and even one little joke of that, last night I put a post on my Facebook and I said, can you imagine that I'm Canadian and I've gone to bed without
Yeah.
knowing the results of the hockey game? Because apparently all of Canada was watching a hockey game last
Not
night that I
not
wasn't really even aware of.
I saw your post and went, there's a hockey game? Like that's where I got to.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't even
So,
aware that the hockey game final, the Stanley Cup final was last night. I had to look it up. Like I do like hockey too. Like hockey is my favorite sport. I could watch it no matter who's playing. Like it could be little kids, it could be I don't care. Somebody wants to invite me to a hockey game, I'm going. I don't need to know anybody playing. I just like the idea of hockey. But I also don't keep up with it, right? So I had no idea that the final was last
Yeah,
night.
and
I
you
had
don't
no
have
idea.
television,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you were not gonna be able to watch
Yeah.
it anyway unless you went out somewhere.
Well, surprisingly enough, so like the other day, I don't remember what night it was, maybe Saturday night, probably Saturday night, because Saturday night hockey night in Canada. But somebody was at the Oilers game and was live streaming it in TikTok. So that was the only reason that, so they're at the game and they were live streaming. And so many comments were like people saying, "Thank you for doing this. Thank you. Thank you." Like, because they couldn't, like, they wouldn't be able to watch it otherwise. And so I watched a little bit, probably 2 minutes of that. And I was like, okay. It was like the end of the second period, and then I forgot to go back when the third period started. So I had to look later and be like, oh, did they win? And saw that they did, and that it forced a game 7. But I didn't even know that they were on the sixth game. Like, I had no idea. I didn't
Yeah,
know who was playing. I didn't even know at that point. So it was
yeah.
kind of funny because normally I'm the person who does know when the hockey's playing.
So, what is one thing that is in your give a shit bucket that is important to you?
Hmm. Well, like, so because we're talking about how, like, I guess how other people perceive us, or like what things that we want the world to know about us. I think that's kind of where we're going on this. Um and I would want people to, say that if they were to describe me, that I was kind, or that I was, I don't know,
Hmm.
smiling or laughing, or kind of in that kind of way.
Mm, mm,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
No, actually, I think what I was thinking, again, the example that I have of mine
Mhm.
is I care about other people in humanity, like a cause that I would probably take up is if I seen somebody being abused,
Mhm.
or if I seen somebody getting picked on and that kind of stuff. I'm probably going to get my oar into that. It's not something that I'm going to throw in my give a shit bucket and
Right.
say, nah, not my problem. That's probably something that I'm going to make my problem.
Okay, yeah.
is is that kind of thing. And yeah, and that's kind of what I was wondering about. What is it that you wouldn't tolerate,
Mhm.
or hmm,
Like, so I mean, there are a few things. Obviously, what you just said, yes, I mean, I would do what I could um to help somebody. There are some things that I do, like if I see a comment on Facebook or something, or on TikTok or some other social media, or, in conversation, if I was having conversation with somebody, some things that I would like talk about, some of the beliefs, I do suggest that people try to act more kindly. Like, I wouldn't want somebody to mistreat even a stranger
yeah,
in front of me. I'd be like, hey, like, is that really, and
or
one thing.
animals. I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
always
for
step up if
sure.
somebody was mistreating
For
animals.
sure, for sure.
Hmm.
Those kind of things, or even like I was definitely known, and am still definitely known as the person that, like, um well, I'm just gonna lay it on the line. My dad used to call my mom names, and as a kid I couldn't really do anything, but when I became an adult, I was like, that's not acceptable in front of me. And I said, and he was like, well, that's, she, and I said, yeah, well, what happens, like, if she lets you do it when you're around, like, when it's just the two of you, whatever, but if I'm around, like, I'm not gonna be
I'm
around
always
anymore.
going to say something.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
like it's not gonna be okay. And I've done that with other people too, with either their partners or even their children, where
yeah.
they've said some things, and I'm like, like, that's a little harsh. Like, let's not go there. Um, in front of me, I'm like, whatever happens. So,
Hmm.
otherwise, but yeah, definitely that kind of stuff I've talked about. I've mentioned. I've said some things. I don't know. It's that gives me a lot to think about, actually. It's like
Yeah. So maybe
where those
that's
things
something
are.
that we can ask our listeners as well.
Yeah.
What does your give a shit bucket look like?
Yeah.
What
What
kind of
things are
things
in there? Yeah.
are in it? What kind of things are not in it?
Yeah.
What are you passionate about that you're always going to care about?
Yeah.
Write to us. Let us know that.
Yeah.
And
So you
yeah.
can do that through our email. So either going to our website, at aboveandbeyond.com or through our email address at aboveandbeyond@gmail.com. And yeah, let us know what thoughts you have on this episode or any other episode that we've put out there. And if you want future episodes, if you have ideas for subjects and topics that you'd like to hear us talk about. Almost nothing. I was gonna say nothing's off limits, but no, I think there are a few things off limits, but almost nothing is off limits. We do have some boundaries, but you'd be surprised. I think we'd be surprised at what we would talk about. So
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody.
thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.